They had always ensured that every bride was a virgin before marriage, with the proof presented on the wedding night. Who could have deceived them? Once upon a time, in the town of Adelere, there was a strict tradition. All ladies must remain virgins before marriage. On the wedding night, the villagers would gather outside the couple's house, waiting for the proof of the bride's virginity. The husband would show a white cloth stained with blood after consummating the marriage. If there was no blood, indicating the wife was not a virgin, she and her family would be made outcasts. No one would associate, trade, or even speak with them. If these rules were broken, the communities believed that calamities would befall their community. For generations, the people of Adelere believed that this ritual ensured the prosperity and peace of their village. A beautiful young woman named Aduke lived in Adelere with her mother as her father had passed away. She was the only child and helped her mother to sell attires, often traveling to neighboring communities to sell their wares. It was during one of these trips that Aduke met Bio, a wealthy cocoa trader who had long admired her from a distance. Bio was well known in the region for his success and generosity. Whenever he saw Aduke, he would buy something from her, even if he didn't need it, just to have a reason to talk to her. One day, he finally gathered the courage to stop her and said, "Aduke, you are so beautiful, and I would like to be in a serious relationship with you." Aduke, who had secretly liked Bayo for some time, pretended to be surprised. "Let me think about it," she replied, with a coy smile, though her heart was already inclined towards him. After a few days of contemplation, Aduke finally agreed to Bayo's proposal. Their relationship blossomed. They were deeply in love, and their affection for each other was evident to all those who saw them together. Bayo was very respectful and caring, always mindful of Aduke's feelings. Their relationship blossomed, filled with love and happiness. Bayo tried a few times to become intimate with Aduke, but she gently resisted, each time explaining the importance of remaining a virgin until her wedding night. "It is an abomination in my community, Bayo," she would say. "We must wait until we are married." Though it was difficult, Bayo respected Aduke's wishes, understanding the gravity of her words and the tradition she upheld. His love for her was strong, and he admired her steadfastness. After some time, their love grew so deep that they decided to take their relationship to the next level. Bayo visited Aduke's home, with his family bringing gifts and formally asking for her hand in marriage. Mama Aduke welcomed Bayo's family warmly, seeing the love and respect between Bayo and Aduke. The families consulted with the village elders, and together they picked a date for the wedding. The wedding came, and everything went smoothly until the night. The villagers gathered outside waiting for the proof of Aduke's virginity. Finally, Bayo emerged with the blood-stained clothes, and everybody celebrated, believing the tradition had been upheld. The elders nodded in approval, and celebration continued. Songs and dances filled the night, and the couples were showered with blessings and gifts. Aduke and Bayo settled into their new life together, their love growing stronger each day. They were the picture of happiness, and the village continued to strive. However, a year later, something strange began to happen in Adelere. Young and old alike started dying mysteriously, their deaths unexplained and sudden. The once vibrant village was now shrouded in grief and fear. The elders, in desperation, consulted the oracle. The oracle revealed that an abomination had been committed. Someone in the village had married without being a virgin, making the gods angry. Confusion and disbelief spread through the village like wildfire. How could this be? They had always ensured that every bride was a virgin before marriage, with the proof presented on the wedding night. Who could have deceived them? The village elders convened several meetings, trying to find out who the transgressors might be. Unable to find the culprit, they summoned the gods to reveal the person responsible. Days turned into weeks as the villagers waited anxiously. They watched for any sign of the gods' wrath, knowing that the punishment would be swift and unmistakable. The fear and the tension in the village grew with each passing day, as everyone wondered who the gods would reveal as the culprit responsible for their suffering. Soon after, Bio fell gravely ill. He could not move, eat, or speak. The village herbalist could not find a cure, declaring that Bio had committed an abomination and needed to confess to be free. Aduke's mother, worried and desperate, took them to another herbalist who echoed the same sentiments. She confronted Aduke, who tearfully confessed a dark secret. Months before her wedding, Aduke had been raped by 3 men while traveling to sell her wares. She had kept this trauma hidden, fearing the repercussions. When she could no longer bear it, she confided in Bio. Heartbroken, Bio stopped talking to her for a while, but eventually returned, promising to stand by her. On their wedding night, Bio had cut his hand to stain the clothes with blood, deceiving the villagers. Mama Aduke was terrified upon hearing this. Fully understanding the grave implication of their actions, she cried out, "Why did you hide this from me, Aduke? You know the consequences of such deceit." With a heavy heart, Mama Aduke returned to the herbalist and relayed Aduke's confession. The herbalist shook his head gravely. "You must confess to the community, and quickly. Time is running out, and if you don't, Bio will die, and Aduke will be the next. The God's wrath is upon you." Fear and dread overwhelmed Aduke and her mother. They realized that Aduke's secret had caused the calamity that befell Adelere. Despite the terror facing the community's wrath, they kept to themselves, hoping against hope that Bio might somehow recover. But Bio's condition worsened. One sorrowful morning, he passed away, leaving Aduke heartbroken and guilt-ridden. The villagers mourned his death, unaware of the true cause behind the misfortunes that had plagued their land. Aduke's mother knew that time was running out, and the God's punishment was far from over. Now, Aduke faced the horrifying prospect of being the next to suffer the God's wrath. Aduke and her mother began having nightmares and seeing strange things, adding to their already overwhelming fear. They were terrified of dying, knowing the God's wrath was still upon them. With no other choice, Mama Aduke took Aduke to the Oluawo, where she confessed her sins. The Oluawo and the elders were perplexed and furious upon hearing the truth. They cursed Aduke and her mother even more, declaring them the cause of the villagers' suffering. The community's anger was palpable as they took Aduke and her mother around the village, loudly proclaiming their deceit. They were branded as outcasts, and everyone was warned not to associate with them, buy from them, or sell to them. Anyone who did would also be declared an outcast. Furthermore, they were forbidden from leaving the community under the threat of death. With the perpetrators cursed, and punished. The land was cleansed, and the life in Adelere returned to normal. However, for Aduke and her mother, life turned into a nightmare. They were shunned by everyone. Despite having money, no one was willing to sell them food or any other necessities. They were treated like plague, and people would flee at the sight of them. The isolation and suffering were unbearable. One night, Aduke, overwhelmed by the unending misery, decided to run away. She packed a few of her belongings quietly, hoping to escape unnoticed. But her mother caught her in the act. Mama Aduke's eyes were filled with a mix of anger and sorrow as she confronted her daughter. "Aduke, you are a wicked child," she cried. "You brought this upon us, and now you want to run away, leaving me to continue suffering, thereby attracting even more calamity on us." Aduke broke down in tears, falling to her knees. "Iyali, forgive me," she begged. "The suffering is too much. I don't know what to do." Mama Aduke's heart softened at the sight of her daughter's despair. She too was exhausted from the relentless hardship, but they had no choice but to endure it together. Soon, however, Mama Aduke's strength began to fade. She fell ill, and despite Aduke's desperate attempts, no herbalist was willing to help them. The villagers' hatred and fear kept them away, leaving Aduke to care for her ailing mother alone. As the days passed, Mama Aduke's condition worsened. Aduke did everything she could, but without medicine or proper care, her mother's health continued to decline. Aduke watched helplessly as her mother grew weaker and weaker. One fateful morning, Mama Aduke passed away, leaving Aduke alone in a world that had turned its back on her. Aduke's cries of anguish echoed through the empty house, a stark reminder of the heavy price of their deceit. She was now alone, isolated and shunned, facing a bleak future with no hope of redemption. The weight of her actions pressed heavily on her heart, and she realized that the path ahead would be one of endless struggle and sorrow. Life became unbearable for Aduke. Alone and shunned by community, she felt utterly displaced. Desperate to end her suffering, she decided to take her own life. Before doing so, she visited the village oracle and placed a curse on the men who had raped her. Then she took poison and ended her life, leaving a world that had shown her no mercy. In one of the neighboring communities where Aduke had been raped, strange and terrible events began to unfold. The families of the 3 men who had attacked her were plagued by misfortune. One of these men was Adewale, the prince of the land, and his 2 friends, Femi and Tayo. Tayo was the first to die. His death was sudden and mysterious, and within 1 hour, his body began to breed maggots. The sight shocked everyone who saw it. Next, Femi was found dead, his body struck by lightning, leaving the community in fear and confusion. Lastly, the prince, Adewale, began exhibiting some strange behaviors. He would suddenly go mad for about 5 minutes, expose himself, strip himself naked, and chase after women. After a short while, he would regain his senses and be overcome with shame. This behavior became increasingly frequent and embarrassing for the royal family. The king, deeply troubled by his son's condition, summoned Ifayemi, the community's chief priest. After consulting the oracle, Ifayemi revealed that Adewale had wronged someone and needed to seek that person's forgiveness to lift the curse. Reflecting on his past actions, Adewale tried to remember everyone he had wronged in the past. Then he remembered Aduke and the terrible things he and his friends had done to her. Determined to make amends, Adewale went to Adelere asking about Aduke. Given her popularity due to the wares she sold, it wasn't long before they were directed to her house. They learned of her and her mother's tragic death. Seeking further guidance, they went to the palace, where the king of Adelere summoned the chief priest to explain everything to them. The chief priest recounted the sorrowful events and how Aduke had committed suicide after causing her tormentors. Overwhelmed with guilt and regret, Adewale confessed to the village what he and his friends had done. The villagers, understanding the full extent of Aduke's suffering, felt deep remorse for their harsh treatment of her. Adewale was led to Aduke's grave, where he begged for her forgiveness, weeping as he recounted his sins. Finally, Aduke's spirit forgave him, lifting the curse that had plagued him and his friends. Witnessing these events, the king and the chief priest of Adelere held a meeting. They decided to consult the oracle on how to abolish the harmful tradition that had led to so much suffering. The oracle demanded for some sacrifices to be made so that the tradition can be abolished. The sacrifices were made and the tradition was officially abolished. The community began to heal. They learned important lessons from Aduke's tragic story. Tradition should not harm individuals. Compassion and understanding are more important than rigid adherence to customs. Aduke's tragic tale became a powerful lesson for the community, ensuring that future generations would grow up in a more compassionate and just society. If you have enjoyed our story, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting stories. Thank you.